I recently got the chance to go back home to the Chicagoland area and ride the Metra, the region's commuter rail system. It's okay, but I noticed some easy to fix shortcomings that can make it significantly better. For those that don't know, Metra is a regional commuter rail network in Chicago connecting the suburbs to the city. This differs from the CTA, which is the city's rapid transit system. By US standards, the Metra is a pretty good train system. On multiple lines, it has all-day service to and from the suburbs with express service during rush hour to downtown. And they're making it better, as they just recently increased train frequency and are also promoting development by the stations. For example, the suburb where I got on the Metra, Mount Prospect, is really driving development, building several condos right by the train station as well as a grocery store which promotes downtown walkability. The next suburb over, Arlington Heights, also has plans to introduce an entire new district right next to a Metra station. It includes lots of transit-oriented development, and it would be awesome if it got built. But while these developments are making more people live closer to the Metra, I still feel like there could be some improvements with the trains and stations which would push the service to the next level. I mean realizable improvements, not something crazy like electrifying the entire fleet, which is a massive undertaking. Pretty much all of my observations come from what I believe is the best train system in the world, the SBB. This is a Swiss train system, and I know it very well since I've lived here for over 5 years now. So what can Metra do better? Well, before I go on sounding like someone that thinks Europe is so much better than the US in every way, I want to quickly point out some things that Metra is actually doing better than the SBB. And one thing it does right are the seats. I find these way better compared to the SBB. They're almost like a pillow. The SBB second class seats barely have any cushioning on them, and I find them really uncomfortable to sit in for a long time. Also, I love how you can fold the seats open if you have a group. It allows for flexible seating arrangements inside the wagon, allowing people to be private during rush hour and social when coming in for Lala. I think these seats are going away though, since in some cabins, there were these seats with a hard back that I'm used to in Europe. But even here, they're significantly more comfortable compared to what the SBB has, with a design that conforms to your body. Finally, another good thing that Metra does right is that you can leave your ticket out for the conductor to check it without having to show it like in Switzerland. If you want to catch a quick nap on the train before work, it's possible on the Metra, whereas on the SBB, you need to take your phone or physical ticket out every time to show the conductor. Alright, enough with what the Metra is good at. What can it do better? Again, I'm not going to focus on vapid goals like that the Metra needs to provide all-day service on all lines or full electrification. No, I'll focus on the small things that can have a large impact. And the first one is information, specifically visual information. In general, when I rode the Metra, I found it extremely difficult to get the status of things with only occasional, hard-to-hear voice announcements. This happened to me both at the stations and on the train. In the downtown train stations, it's not so bad. There's enough information on each track that says when the next train is, when it's leaving, and where it's going to stop. But at suburban stations, this information is near non-existent. Let's use a Mount Prospect station as an example. The only message board I found was this one. It's only located on one platform, meaning that you don't actually know where the train will come. You have to rely on the other daily commuters. Plus, it doesn't give much information, just saying in how many minutes the next train is coming. Now take a look at a Swiss station. On every single platform, it says the time the next train's arriving, what stations it'll go to, as well as its delay. It even has a train formation, so you know where to get on. This is what a proper information board looks like. If they just had even some basic information on the sign, for example the platform, the time, the delay, and whether it was express or not, this would already be such an improvement. Then I wouldn't have to go on my phone to double check everything. And when you're on the train itself, I couldn't find any piece of visual information telling you about the current ride. It's just a box, with the only things drawing your attention being some advertisements. This lack of information led to a lot of confusion. I was coming back late one night after seeing some friends of mine downtown, and the speakers were down. It was pitch black outside, and I had no clue where I was without my phone. The conductor had to come through the cabin to tell us where we were. I can imagine that if it were my first time taking the Metra and I had no internet nor phone, it would be a very stressful experience for me. Switzerland is a great example to follow. In every wagon, you have a screen that tells you the next few stops, when it will arrive at each of them, and the delay. You don't even need a high-tech solution to start. Even a piece of paper will do. They do this in Poland, for example. There are papers telling where the train will stop, as well as some with the exact schedule on the inside. Sure, you'd have to have a different one for every ride, but I think that having this information would significantly improve the passenger experience. I know I'm going on about this, but if I've never lived here before and I don't know how this works, I can imagine this being difficult. This leads me to my second point, which is buying a ticket. In Switzerland, you have ticket vending machines at pretty much every station in the country. You can buy a variety of tickets from one-way to day passes. Contrast this to Mount Prospect. Even with its population of around 55,000, it only has an office open Monday through Friday for 6 hours a day, and it has no ticket vending machine like in downtown. What if I want to buy a day pass at 2 p.m.? So, what do you do when the ticket office is closed? Or what about for the stations with no open ticket office at all, which is actually over 70% of them? In these cases, you can buy a one-way ticket from the conductor in cash. This is nice for single journeys, but what if I want to buy a day pass instead of 2 one-way tickets, which would make my trip cheaper? I can't, and I have to spend more money. To this end, you can download the local transport app, Metra, where you can buy all kinds of tickets. However, this doesn't actually solve the problem completely. I signed up a long time ago, so I can use the app just fine. However, this time, I traveled with someone from outside of the US. And when we wanted to buy our tickets with the app, there were several problems. First off, the app is region locked to the US, or at least we couldn't download it from a Swiss region to Android device. And even if we managed to download it, you need to have a US-based address and a US phone number. Sure, you can probably sign up to your hotel, but if you don't have a phone, you're out of luck. It's a required field and it has to be a US one. And if you don't have an account, you can't buy a ticket. Therefore, it serves as kind of a surcharge to foreigners, or people that don't know that the app exists. And this surcharge can get pretty hefty, as for some zones, buying 2 one-way tickets costs almost double as buying a day pass. Luckily, it looks like Metra knows about this and is planning to install a ticket vending machine at every station. Let's hope they can buy every type of possible ticket there and not just one-ways. You might ask why the vending machines would only sell one-way tickets, but this is already the case for some stations that have them. I hope that the new ones get an upgrade. Finally, this wasn't such a big deal since the weather was pretty nice the whole time I was there, but I noticed that in a lot of suburban stations, there was almost no rain cover. If it were raining, or if I was here during a famously cold Chicago winter, I think that I would appreciate this a lot. Again, looking at Switzerland, most stations have some sort of roof on top of them. There's more than enough room for everybody to spread out and to be shielded from the elements. Not every station has to have a roof over the entire platform, but I think there should be at least something so that people won't have to hold an umbrella while they wait for the train. And plus, pretty much every gas station in the area has this roof to protect people, so why can't train stations? I think that if Metra could improve on these 3 points, that is improving visual information, make ticket buying easier, and installing rain covers at stations, it would make it more appealing to ride and thus increase revenues. I think that all of these points that I highlighted are easily realizable goals that require relatively little investment for a significantly improved passenger experience. But more than just providing a better customer experience, this would help Metra promote non-downtown trips. I believe that with these changes, Metra can more easily transition from being just a commuter rail system to being the mode of transport that people use to get everywhere in the Chicagoland area, similar to what the SBB is for Switzerland. However, in order for the Metra to get to the level of the SBB, there will need to be a complete rethink of the entire system. I believe that this would require significant changes, which I'll talk about in another video.